Today is July 30th, 2021. This is episode 158 of Maelstrom Radio. Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, Gladys and Shitter. And welcome, everybody, to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Peter. With me, as always, is my good friend and co-host, Quinton. How are you?
Friday, that's always a good thing.
It's true. True.
I'm glad that it's Friday.
Same. It is Friday, and it's been a week. It's been a long week. Let's get into. By the way, hi audience. Thank you for showing up here on Friday night. So let's go ahead and get into what we've been doing this past week, gaming or otherwise. Susan and you, and eventually me, once I get my Final Fantasy 14 account sorted out, are in a chill weekly mount farming group on Tuesdays.
We are. We farmed a bunch of the Heavensward mobs trials last week because someone hasn't completed all of the birds. The only one, I think, in the group for most of them. So I got 2 of the birds this week, and I got a couple more to go still. We tried to take out Sophia, but we did just over a dozen runs, I think, and she never dropped hers. I got Zervon's, though, Sephiroth.
Yeah. Sophia is stingy.
Sophia's was it was very hard for her. She did not want to drop anything. There was another one that we were trying to that didn't drop, or it only dropped one. Nidhogg. We were trying to farm that one. We did get one Nidhogg mount, but we had 3 people that needed it, so I didn't get that one. But we'll go back in. We had a pretty good group going. We didn't have our full group last week. As you said, you weren't able to be there, and we had a couple others not available, so we brought in a few other people, but I think we'll get better and faster with a lot of these, and as we get on, it's really easy to farm the Heavensward ones because they're fast, they're easy. You can solo or duo some of them.
Yeah.
So it's really, really fast. It was under 2 minutes a run for the most part. We also played D&D this last week, and we encountered a ghost ship.
Yeah.
Then we slaughtered all the ghosts, and we still have a ghost ship.
Yes. Well, all right. So the reasoning for the fact that we still have the ghost ship is because but the background of my dwarf is that his whole clan was murdered. So they haunt me. And the best part is
but they also do your work for you.
Yes. Because they'll, seeking retribution is never easy. I worked with our lovely DM Heals You, who you've heard on the show before. I was like, hey, is there any way we can work this haunted angle for the ghost ship? I'm like, a boat needs a crew, and he's like, why yes. Why yes. And it had to be, I think there was, I don't think there wasn't any really big stipulations other than I had to roll well for it, and I did. I landed the roll, and the only thing is that the other party members, out of character, they know they exist. In character, they have no idea what the hell's going on. They think I'm just talking to myself. So
I think the dwarf is crazy.
And Treevor, Chili's pet demon tree.
Yeah, the demon tree hatched. It's finally actually a semi character now. It doesn't do anything. Treevor.
Treevor.
Yeah, Susan's enjoying that. It's Trevor. But yes, as Susan was said, like a demonic Groot, it is exactly like a demonic Groot. There's actually a picture of it, and it looks like a demonic Groot.
Yeah. I mean, technically,
It's a little disturbing.
Technically.
We don't know that yet. This is still a demon tree.
True. I don't think Ash went to the vet. He's okay. Like he's fine. Like he's a healthy boy.
Good.
He's still floppy. There's no cure for floppiness. He's good. Like Poe's doing good. Ash still bullying my dog. I don't know how to stop that yet, but it could be just.
I don't think that. The last time I had a couple cats and a dog all in one place, the cats were the ones that ruled.
Poe doesn't.
They were younger and smaller.
Yeah, Poe just doesn't stand up for himself. He's just like, and then he walks out of his crate, and I'm like, come on, man, that's your home. So,
my old dog, she stood up for herself. She was very much wanting to always be the alpha, and she would always try to play with the cats, but the cats would always put her in her place. She wouldn't stay there. She would continue trying to go for it, but the cats were the ones that effectively ran the place.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is that cat is floppy, so he can't really deal. He tries to chase him, but then he flops over at some point, and like he loses momentum, and then the dog just gets like the dog doesn't. It's kind of like one of those things where like the dog doesn't notice that the cat is doing what he's doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
that's what it kind of comes down to. The dog just doesn't care.
We did Terraria yesterday, and it went really well.
We did. We slaughtered 3 bosses.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We got the World Eater or Eater of Worlds. We got a couple times, at least 3. I think we slaughtered that. Mm-hmm. We slaughtered the King Slime. We got the Slime Rain event and killed that. What was the third one that we killed?
I don't think there was the third one. I think King Slime was Slime was random. I didn't think.
Yeah, it was a random boss. We got that one.
I don't think.
We had another one that spawned.
No, it was just World Eater and King Slime.
Yeah.
And then
of course Susan had. We got the Meteorite event. That's right.
That's right.
The Eater of Worlds, which we got the Meteorite event, which we had a 50-50 chance of, and from all of the massive meteorite, Chili that we could make some items. So once we collected that all, I went and made a full suit of the meteorite space gear, including the space gun. And it is the best thing ever. I now have a space gun with unlimited ammo, because when you have the full set of space gear, it doesn't cost any mana to shoot. Plus it bumps up the damage and whatnot. So according to the DPS meter, which Peter found and I equipped, I can do something like 170 DPS.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
When we first got it, as Susan linked the clip in Twitch chat here, I was testing it out on things, and I was trying to shoot a squirrel, and I missed, and I hit a rabbit.
Yeah.
And it just went poof.
Hi, Hyperpixie. How are you? No.
Yeah, I did apologize to Hyperpixie when we were doing that, but that was a thing. But yeah, so at the end, we did try to go flying as well in that one, which didn't go so well. It was a little dark, and I wasn't quite sure on the controls, so I ended up dying. But I think we might try flying again next round. Like we did have an extra couple potions, so that was good. And then at the end of the stream, or just after we finished the stream, I got some water breathing ones. So we can check out the oceans as well, which will be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But we're geared enough now that we could probably do a few more bosses and maybe check out the hive. I think we wanted to look at next.
Also, I ended up getting I ended up on one of the sky islands that are possible, and I ended up getting
Oh yeah, you got the
heavenly star sword, or the heck it is, Star Fury.
Magical girl sword.
Yeah, magical girl sword. Hot pink sword. I fling stars at enemies now. Great sword.
Yeah.
Strong. Powerful. Love it. Hot pink. Glows in the dark. And then Susan had a note in here about terms we've used in our show planning. We can
skip that.
Yeah, I think we can.
I think I don't know what that's for. We put them for some reason. We'll eventually address them.
Although some of these are my favorite things. You'll never know, but actually one thing you'll know about once we get there, but we're not there yet.
All of it they'll know about eventually, but anyway.
Also
we have news coming out.
Yeah. So this is good. I'm just gonna go ahead and put it out there that well, I talked about it last week and gave you my thoughts. I'm not going to give you my thoughts again on about the whole Blizzard situation, but I am going to talk a little bit about couple hits of news. One, they're now Blizzard Activision's now getting hit by their shareholders because they feel like maybe the information about the 2-year investigation wasn't really told, to them, and that potentially hurts stock. So now they're doing a lawsuit against that. I am absolutely for this next one. The Blizzard employees did a mass walkout on the 29th. I put a little blue heart on my Twitter because I was, if you were standing with the employees, they asked you to do that or change your profile picture to blue. And the quote from them is, "Today we stand for change. Tomorrow and beyond, we will be the change." And absolutely, incredibly brave to walk out of your job with no backing union to create a picket line. And of all the companies, the one ran by Bobby Kotick, who I feel would have fired everybody and just got new people in there.
Also possible, but if you fire that many people, your company will not be doing too well.
No, it would not. So, also, but anyway, just to reiterate, everyone here at Maelstrom Radio, we're with the employees. All of gaming, all of tech is like what Activision Blizzard is. I won't say all of it, but a large portion of it is this way. And if you think Blizzard and Activision is bad, I mean, there's a lot of other companies out there just as bad. So this is hopefully all for the better, because if Blizzard Activision changes, that means hopefully other places will need to change as well. So it's just a wait and see. I don't know if you saw this, but it's something I think something you missed in your weekly thing, but you picked up a PS5 this week.
I did.
So
actually, I managed to snag one on Tuesday, and it just arrived today. It is actually just behind me.
Yeah, so you have a PS5. Chili says grats. They, as in Sony, or I'm sorry, not Sony, but they, as in, God, I forgot the name of the
Western
brand.
Digital just released one recently, but then there was another one earlier that I don't know the name of.
But did you see the prices of the hard drives?
It is SSD.
It is, yes.
I mean, yes, they are like probably about 4 times the regular prices.
They sure are. So just to give you some clarification, a extra SSD for the PlayStation 5, the low end is $175.
140 for the Western. So there's 2 ones that have come out this past week. Yesterday, Seagate announced, and today Western Digital announced.
Mm-hmm.
Western Digital is a little bit cheaper than Seagate. I'm guessing that Seagate announced theirs, and Western Digital just like, now we can beat that by a little bit and drop their margin a little bit and get the people. So they started at 500 at 140, and then a terabyte for 250, and 2 terabytes for 430.
Which that honestly isn't that bad.
It's a little bit better. Seagate in comparison was 170 for 500, 275 for 1 terabyte, and 570 for 2 terabytes.
And then 1,050 for 1050 for 4 terabytes.
Which kind of makes sense. They basically are effectively like kind of trying to double for each of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite map out to that.
No.
Like the 1 terabyte is much better price wise than the 500, and of course the 2 terabyte is better even than that. Actually, no, it is funny. Seagate's pricing is a little bit weird because if you actually do the math per unit, the 1 terabyte one is pretty good. It's less than double the 500, but the 2 terabyte one is actually more than twice. Yeah, it is more than twice because a terabyte is 275. Double that would bring you to 550, but their 2 terabyte is 570.
Yeah.
And then their 4 terabyte is less than double that, but that's
Yeah.
also really expensive. That's like twice the price of a PS5.
So what they're saying is that they feel like the 2 terabyte is really what people are probably going to buy. Susan in chat,
More like 1 to
yeah.
2 terabytes should be enough for most people.
It should, unless you're
on
playing
the disk drive. If you are on the digital,
yeah,
a little bit harder.
Digital, you definitely want to maybe go for the 4 terabyte and just bite the bullet. But I mean,
also be careful though, because like in terms of the NVMe drives, I don't know if there are as many like 4 terabyte ones, more or less. Like in terms of like the people that tend to buy them. 1 terabyte I think is pretty common. 2 terabytes is still okay, but higher than that, like I don't know if there's a whole lot of that. So it might still be one of those like new stock type things where they might not be as reliable as the hard drives that they've been pumping out for years.
Susan in chat asks, so is this just so you can store more games on your PS5? Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And the way that
it only comes with like 800 gigabytes or something, which is enough for
1 terabyte, but the
usable,
yeah.
Usable 800.
Yeah.
But and that's good for like 8 large games.
Yeah. And if you had an external drive that you used on your PS4, you can still plug that in and then put all your PS4 games, and that they can run right off that, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still use an external drive of a regular hard drive, and it'll be okay. Should be fine. I'll probably get an extra stick. What I'm waiting to hear is if there's anything special about these drives versus a regular one. There shouldn't be.
I suspect that it's a special timing thing where they have to have a specific read-write speed in order to be certified by Sony. But I would also assume that SSDs are going to be like you could probably just have any SSD as long as it reaches that speed potentially. Like I would assume that Samsung's high-end SSDs, they're like the Evo line is really, really good.
Like what I have in my computer.
Those will probably also be compatible, but right now they're probably just not officially compatible because they haven't tested it and whatnot.
Yeah. I'd be interested.
And I don't know if
because the Fire CUDA is like because the Fire CUDA is like regular, right? Like it just says first PS5 compatible. I'd be interested in testing this. I don't know, like I don't know. I don't have money to test this, but I would. I'll wait for YouTube because there's gonna be somebody that's gonna be like, let's go. So
yeah. And that's what I think it is. Like Chili says, in the UK, the prices are about the same price as the Samsung Pro SSD, and I don't think that they're necessarily faster than most SSDs. I think, but it is one of those things. Like all SSDs fall under this category, whether they're NVMe, or they're just like a regular SSD disk drive. Wow, not disk, little solid state, but like the little tiny disks as opposed to the NVMe sticks. Like ultimately, like it's just going to be a speed thing, right? Like when we used to do little memory cards, like it had to have a minimum speed in order to be compatible. They had a list of here's the ones that we've tried and tested. Those are the ones that we'll support. But anything that meets the specification is fine. I think we're going to see the same thing. It's just now companies can try to hit this value.
Yeah.
And if they hit that value, they'll be fine. So yeah, again, Samsung Evo drives probably going to get that specification pretty quickly as well. As last I remember, there were some of the top drives out there.
They sure are.
But it might take a little while.
Yeah. Asmongold will give 10,000 subscriptions to his channels if he does not beat Ultimate. I believe he's doing Ultimate, not Alex. Was it Alexander or Ultimate? I'll let Susan chime in.
Did you just say Ultimate? I thought it was just any Ultimate.
Was it any Ultimate?
Like, yeah, it just says any Ultimate.
Oh,
so I mean that would be Alexander or Ultima or like those two.
I would love to,
and I think that's reasonable.
I think that's reasonable too. I'd be interested. I don't know if one is technically harder than the other. I think they're both pretty. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say one is. Oh, this one's way more difficult than this last one. I don't think that's.
They're
the case.
Difficult. But he's also. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's older content.
Yeah.
You just have to learn the fight, do it, and if you are a raider, then you'll be able to do it. Like it's not It's not the challenging piece, right? Like it's not necessarily a challenging raid.
Yeah.
It's just learning the strats and doing them.
I know
And most
Alexander
people
is.
can't get a full group to do it.
Yeah, Alexander is a boss rush essentially. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then Uwu had like some weird like phase shift thing.
That had a lot of phases.
Yeah. Final Fantasy
It looked
14.
fun.
Final Fantasy 14 announced that they made adjustments to the Sage Job icon. So the original Sage Job was causing trypophobia in some people. And
For
just
those
for
who
you
are not familiar, trypophobia is the fear of or disgust of closely packed holes.
Yep.
Which, as a series of what looks kind of like needles with the little eyes for each of them, that's kind of what it looked like, and now the eyes are closed.
I have this, but not on a level of like the Sage Jaw symbol. Like I've seen photoshops where people taking like the beehive like honeycomb shape and put it on like human skin, and that weirds me out. Like that, it gives me the Jibblies. I don't like it. And I'll be real honest with you. Like if I saw that's how it was, and I saw that, I would have been like Jibblies. But no, I'm okay with
so
the
no
new
Sage
one.
tattoo.
No, well, not old Sage. The new one is fine. The new one looks like
The new one's fine.
Yeah, the new one's fine. I'm okay with like tattoo. It's like actually like when it looks real. Like that's when it bothers me. Like when it looks like someone like, and I just talking about it's kind of irking me. Like, and I'm not gonna talk about it too much. I don't want to trigger people either thinking about it. All right. Well, the main topic is us. Welcome to Maelstrom Radio. Maelstrom Radio is now a part of Team Whiskers, and so we tricked we tricked somebody into letting us on a team.
And by tricked, we mean that Chili tricked people, because I think Chili did a lot of the work here.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Chili literally poked people like, hey, you.
Chili opened the door.
You should check out these people.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, we'll see what Chili says in chat. If Chili says yes, it was me, then Chili gets 100% of the profits. I
mean, we did walk through it, as Susan says. Chili opened the door, and Chili also yelled loudly.
It's true.
You should come and talk to these people, and Chili hyped us up a lot. So
yeah, and so we were. I opened the door, gave you welcome gifts, and told everyone to be there. There's a cake.
Yep.
So I think one of the things that we were looking for in a team was to make sure that we vibed with it, with their values, and so some of their values were that the guidelines are very simple: enjoy what you do and showcase the passion to your viewer base, and be as inclusive as possible where possible. And they do not tolerate racism, extremism of any kind, direct victimization, both in game and out, and whilst being a part of the team and streaming. Which, fair enough. Like, we're samesies. So
speaking of which, this is also the first stream that we've done, I think since we started, that we've taken off the mature content warning.
Yep.
So we're trying to be more inclusive.
Yeah. Will the content change on the channel? No. Like other than I don't think we ever really were like that extreme of the 18 plus, right? Like at most, I think we'll be a little more aware of making sure it's on during streaming of certain games, and like if we know something's gonna like be too gory or gruesome, we'll make sure that it's on. But like most of the time, Final Fantasy 14 is not that, so we're okay.
Final Fantasy 14 is rated T for teen, so
T for teen, so we'll be okay. But if something like Resident Evil pops up, then I think we'll be okay. I don't know what else. Anything weird or spoopy might warrant the T for T, teen for T.
Yep.
And Susan said Terraria's pretty wholesome. Actually, it is. It's a very wholesome game. Until
Yeah, we make a lot of holes and we fall in them.
Until Quinton shoots a bunny with a laser.
Poor bunny.
So one of the things that we're looking at for the future of Maelstrom Radio is something we've been talking about recently is like how we're back and how do we start growing again, which luckily our Twitter's doing all right. Like we were stagnant for, I would say, a long while, which is very true. I don't think any of us would say I think we were not stagnant on tweeting. We were tweeting. We were at least stagnant on Twitter growth. Since that time though, we are now, I think last I checked, we were at 545 followers.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to the number.
Yeah, I stopped, but then I was like, oh hey, look, that's interesting. And I was very, very shocked to see like, oh hey man, we got a lot of like 546. We've got a new one since I last looked. And I think part of it is, I think what's going to be an interesting thing that we're going to start doing is that I have a lot of connections over on the WoW content podcasting creation side of things, and there's a lot of them that are already playing, have been playing, want to talk about Final Fantasy 14 and no longer have rather dropped their shows, are currently pivoting towards Final Fantasy 14. And a lot of them want to chat and want to like step in and hopefully we can be that gateway for them. Which is great because I think a lot of them are great people, and I love their WoW shows, and I would love to hear their voices talking about Final Fantasy 14. And sometimes you do something so long that you're tired of doing it. So, and Ro was like one of the first steps in doing that, and hopefully we'll have a few more come on, and hopefully there's some WoW podcasters that are currently playing that may not jump over to Final Fantasy 14 as content creators, but maybe start bridging the gap between the two games, at least between having us on their show and vice versa. And I think that's going to be good. I think it's going to be good for both player bases to hear both sides of things and not only just see it from a streamer's point of view, but the one thing I always liked about podcasts is that they were just not necessarily making money off their shows. I don't think a lot of the WoW podcasts made any sort of like, this is my job. There's only one person who was able to do it. His name is Scott Johnson. He's very successful. He was the very first WoW podcast called The Instance. And Scott is just all he does is podcasting. That's all he does. He has like 80 shows and that's all he does. So, doing
at least future.
Yeah. So, probably Chili is the Scott Johnson of UK podcasting. The only think the difference is that Chili, I don't think Chili's making enough money off of it yet. Chili, in fact,
one day.
I think Chili, in fact, might be he might be like losing money to it because he keeps buying whale mounts and giving away. He's like, I'm a deficit. So it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be fun to see. I think that I think there's a lot of unique perspective out there. And did I not mute my dang? Like all 158 episodes, my phone's muted. The one time it's not. I don't know if I don't know if it actually picked up on the mic, but so
I didn't hear it, but I don't know if the recording did.
I don't, maybe not.
But
So
in chat, Susan said the unspoken message is that you want a whale mount.
yeah, I do want a whale mount,
And
but I don't want to
I
buy
think,
a whale mount.
well, I think the more our unspoken messages, you just want to be able to have your account back so you can play.
Yeah, that honestly is really where it's at. But again, my account's not gone. They're working on it. It's such a slow process. So
My Google Sphere radio.
we're excited for that, and I think that if we focus, I'm not saying we're going to focus on World of Warcraft. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying,
No, we are not.
No, we're not. What I am saying is that I think there's a lot of people that are established that are coming over, and if we can be the people that say, "Hey, welcome to the community," that's not a bad thing, and I'm excited. I'm truly excited to start talking to some of these people, interviewing them, seeing the content they produce. Like I said, Ro was the very first one, and I hopefully the people that listened to the Ro episode found him delightful. Ro's great. Like even today, he tweeted out that who would be interested in a Warcraft radio version of that for Final Fantasy 14 podcast, like a proper curated podcast website, and I'm all for it. So let's there's a lot of people with a lot of resources that are doing stuff in the WoW space that are now looking to do that here, and that.
And I think something.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
So I what I was saying that I think that and some stuff that we may not have had in this space, and I think that we need it. So, especially if we keep growing as a community especially going into Endwalker, it's going to be a big thing. So,
yeah, I think that's something that the Final Fantasy community has kind of been missing. Like, we do have a relatively large community, but at the same time, we're also a kind of small community. In terms of, like, there are content creators, but there are nowhere near the level of content creators in terms of WoW. Like, quality maybe, but quantity no. And especially some of these more niche ideas, or these ideas that might not be as relevant to Final Fantasy in the past that might be useful now. And I think one of the major things that we are missing is that discoverability piece. And we had this conversation a few weeks back when the it was the Black Chocobo amount, when that promotion came out, and we had a list of streamers that was seemingly chosen at random for it. Congratulations to them. But then it seemed like there wasn't a lot of like black, brown, trying to think of anyways, like different marginalized communities involved with this giveaway. And like, it's understandable for some things. They chose a lot of major streamers with large followings, which makes sense. But there are also large streamers with decent followings that are in those communities that weren't considered as part of this. So it's kind of, they kind of had a little bit of controversy around that, and they're talking about doing a little bit better, but we have yet to see it from them. Now that we are like a month into the event and I have less than a month to go. So I'm not really holding out for that. But
I don't
when that came out, we had talked about, like, how do we find ways to discover and promote more of these different content creators that you don't hear from as much, the smaller content creators, the marginalized, the people that in minorities. Like, a lot of them are really, really cool, and it's really hard to find them sometimes. Like, you can go through the Twitch tags and find people streaming Final Fantasy 14, but you have to find them when they're live and when they're currently streaming that game. Like, if we take a night off or if something happens, like, you can't find them. So having some sort of like podcast directory or creator directory might help that. And I think that's something that as well the 14 community can kind of bring in. Whereas I'm not familiar with what Ro did for the WoW community, but it was a very curated experience. But if we can add to that curation and increase that visibility and increase that discoverability and bring out those smaller communities, the smaller creators, the marginalized ones, like, that I think would add a lot to the Final Fantasy 14 community, and it would be both in line with what he kind of is thinking of doing and what we as a community would kind of want.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a demand for that from the 14 community. And it's really hard to find those people because they are smaller, marginalized.
Yeah. Like Warcraft Radio was such an interesting and very cool site to me because, like, let's say if you wanted to listen to a podcast that was news based, you can click the news tag and it'll list every podcast that was like a news focused one. Or hey, I want to do listen to a gold making thing. You type like hit the gold making tag and like it'll show you all the ones on like how to like craft and like gold making and all that. And like it was such a smart idea that it really did focus on like what each podcast did and also and it's not sunsetted. It's just Ro's no longer doing. He did after the show last week. He did leave his 2 World of Warcraft podcasts behind. And like he said that he might do a Final Fantasy 14 podcast in the future, and it almost seems like in his tweet that he said I'm not announcing a Final Fantasy 14 like realm maintenance style podcast where he goes over all the podcasts what they're doing and updates everybody on that. Which, Ro, if you do that for Final Fantasy 14, oh, friend. Do it to yourself again, bud. Luckily, there's not a lot of us out there yet. So it'll be. Well, Chili's saying, remember when Fusion did it? Quinton and I had this conversation today.
Yes. Only we had this conversation like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, we did have this conversation, Chili, and we do remember that. So what Fusion did was create a page on Gamerscape that pulled in our RSS feeds and put out a weekly, like news. Like for those of you that are new to Final Fantasy 14 and never been to Gamerscape, it's not just the Final Fantasy 14 site. They do other stuff there too. But it put it out as a news piece of like, hey, these content creator update, and it updated everybody on what like the latest thing that mostly a lot of the podcasts, unless like YouTubers or whatever, put like this is my latest video, because I don't think there was a way to pull in a feed from them, so which was great, and it was super awesome, and appreciate Fusion for doing that. But Fusion did sunset that feature because they were updating the website, and I don't think it was fitting the new design of the site, so it's no longer there. And but if you've never gone to Warcraft Radio, you should. It is a fascinating site. How it's all set up, it's done incredibly well, and it has nothing against Fusion. It is very much set up so that people can discover like shows based on what they actually want to listen to. PvP, that like if there's a PvP podcast, you can click the PvP tag and you will find every podcast about PvP and you can listen to that, which I think is great. Like, so if you wanted a show that was casual and humor, and you click those two things, you may find Maelstrom Radio and Mulgaron Radio, for example. And that's awesome. So,
and like we were talking before, like the stuff with the Final Fantasy 14 content creator group that Fusion created, a lot of it was more around building our small community, building that team of people that can kind of interact and network with each other. We were a lot of smaller streamers and smaller creators at that point. And it kind of was a way for us to kind of get together and then have it on Gamerscape to help promote things and to expose other people to it through their site and their influence. Whereas this podcast directory would be more of like that what Fusion did was a lot of for our side of things, the creator side.
Yeah.
The directory is more for everyone else. It is, hey, we're here. This is how you can find us.
Yeah.
And that's a problem that I think a lot of content creators have on 14. Unless you're a massive creator or you know the right people, you do not have an easy way to access or for people to find you. Like, really, as you said, you could probably name a couple of the people on the list that was done for the Black Chocobo event. Mr. Happy is one that comes to mind, as he is a major creator in the space.
Zeppla, Hot
But
Chicken. I mean,
well, like I'm not as familiar with Zeppla. Hottie Chicken is just starting into the 14 space, and she was included with the list. Up until recently, I don't know if I would consider her like primarily a 14 creator.
no, she
She played it as one of her games.
Yeah.
And she's playing it a lot more now, so that might change in the future. But like, I wouldn't consider her as a main 14 creator in that sense.
No.
But we have a lot of people that are main 14 creators. Like, for example, Eighth Rate Radios and Gamerscape. Like, that group is, and you have a whole bunch of people that are involved with that cast. We used to have Limit Break Radio, and now Ascalia is starting up her own streaming channel. And of course, she's got a lot of nice connections from her days at Limit Break Radio and all of the people that she knows in the community, which have really, really helped. But if you are just jumping into 14 today, you might not know who Ascalia is or how to find her. And that's a shame because she has great content.
Yeah.
And same thing with some of the other podcasts around, like Gather Together, another great group. And it's hard to find them because you don't know about them. Like, how would you find these people? And we have the same with everyone that we've talked to, with Moogle Go Round, with see, I'm having trouble like pulling names out of my head now because it's been so long since we've talked to a lot of these people. Having those sorts of people being able to get together and be discovered by others is something that we're missing within the community. Yeah. And we tried to bring it out, but we didn't really have the expertise, the time, or the intent at the time to try to do this. So hopefully we'll see something come out of this that will allow us to grow and to show people, wow, after all of that, I completely missed She-Hills, I tank.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. Also, Susan said in chat, Gather Together is truly my favorite Final Fantasy 14 podcast. Sorry to everyone else here.
Ruby and Yalta, by all means, they're awesome.
They're an institution, honestly. Like, when they asked me to be on their 100th episode, I was like, me? And I did joke with them today. I was like, hey, they're like, they asked for like, hey, what can we do to like make our show better? I'm like, you can have me back on. But I said, I don't necessarily think that'll make it better, but I'm free.
Yeah, they asked for improvements.
So,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think we're kind of at the cusp right now. Like, we are seeing a bunch of WoW content creators come over and start playing with it and experience it. And even like the attitudes change. Like, I know people have made the comment of, as they've watched a lot of these WoW creators or streamers start to play 14, some of how they react and some of how their audience reacts changes, whereas stereotypically a lot of WoW audiences tend to be a little bit more toxic and a little bit less well-behaved, let's say, than other communities or games.
Yeah.
And as they come over to 14, which has a very strong story point of empathy and relating to people and trying to work through problems and traumas and dealing with things, they're seeing kind of that shift in their audience of being a little bit more empathetic towards people and being a little bit kinder, which is something that the 14 community strongly values. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, as we're at this cusp, as they all kind of start coming over, how that kind of affects them and their communities, the community at large, and if they do start to join on a more permanent basis, the 14 community, what does that mean for everyone else? Like, how do they kind of fit in with everywhere we have now, and how do we fit in with them and do it? Like, it's a brand new world right now.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how things evolve over the next few months, because I think we're seeing a complete change from the past 8 years of 14.
Yeah. And we've been doing this long enough to see all sorts of sides of it. So, I mean, we've changed over the years, and I like, honestly, you know, and I have to say, like, I you know, it was scary leaving 14 and then scary coming back to it. And, but I have to say that, you know, it's almost like we never left. Like, everyone was still supportive of us when we left, and everyone was still supportive of us when we came back. Not that we were ever gone, just not talking about the game as much.
But a lot of things happened between the times that we left and we came back.
There really was.
Like the entirety of Shadowbringers.
That also true. Man, there would have been some great episodes. But
Quest and Amarang.
but we now have all of Endwalker to look forward to, and one of the best things that we get to do now is we're heading into an expansion, fresh off the heels of probably one of the best expansions I've ever seen of an MMO ever, and we're not only talking about the game in our future with each other, but we're now like looking at talking about the game with people not only from the Final Fantasy 14 community, but now from the WoW community coming to the Final Fantasy 14 community and each other. So I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited for
me too.
So I'm excited for not only that, but for what we're doing here. Excited to be part of Team Whiskers. Thank you again, Chili. And Susan would like us a quote.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
From
this feels like a good quote to go to wrap up this discussion.
So, and this is from Tibby and Salts, who is a streamer in his own right. It just amazes me that a nearly 10-year-old game doesn't even seem to have peaked yet. And that is probably the best thing to ever say about Final Fantasy 14. The game does not feel like it's peaked yet. And I can say as a longtime WoW player that I felt that WoW probably peaked, and I mean truly hit its great stride. To me, was back in Pandaria. I think Pandaria was a beautiful expansion. I know a lot of people dislike it for a lot of reasons, but I think that
one of the few that I've played through.
Yeah,
mostly.
And Pandaria was well written. It was well thought out. They paid a lot of attention to how culture worked in that game, in that expansion. Legion was probably another great stride for them. But it's just that, man, I can't sit there and say, I think we listed our favorite, last night. I think we when we were playing Terraria, we tried to list our favorite to least favorite Final Fantasy 14 expansions.
We did,
and I think we both agreed that Realm Reborn is last, but that doesn't mean it doesn't take away from how good it is. It's still a great piece of content. But we're just well, Heavenward's really great too. And then Shadowbringers is so good. It just got better over time.
It basically is the game starts off pretty good. A Realm Reborn is really solid, especially if you have not played Final Fantasy 14 before. If you're just getting into it, a Realm Reborn is very engaging. The first part starts off a little bit rough, but it does get a lot better from it. So then you jump into Heavensward, and Heavensward, I still, it is my second favorite expansion. We've had this conversation last night. Heavensward has a very strong overarching story, and it wraps up really, really nicely in 2.3. No, sorry, 3.3. With the culmination of the Dragonsong War. And it does a really good job bringing everything together and just having a very impactful story. Stormblood then follows that up. I feel like it's still a little bit better than that. I really liked the environment, but coming from Heavensward, I wasn't as much of a fan with how they did the whole story. I think Stormblood was still a very strong expansion, but I put it below Heavensward. So it's still a strong piece. It has Stormblood has a lot of aesthetic elements that I'm a fan of. I liked the whole idea of the whole eastern area. That's what I like, that aesthetic. Authored is all really, really great. We have Heian, we have the Aura tribes, we had Little Sun, we had all of that sort of stuff. It's a great expansion. It has Mechanics Boss, which was so good. And that dungeon that happens in I'm thinking of the wrong expansion. Anyways, back to Stormblood. Really good still. And then, of course, at that point, Stormblood is a decent expansion.
Mm-hmm.
It followed after Heavensward, which is a really good expansion. And then they went from here to way off the charts and they launched Shadowbringers. Like,
Yeah,
the difference there was just immeasurable.
it really was.
And we had great moments like Raktika and like literally everything. And you started off that expansion, and if you chose Amarang first, like we did, and you went through that quest, and if you played through Shadowbringers, you know exactly what quest I'm talking about. You do not even have to hear the word Amarang. It is that quest.
Mm-hmm.
You knew what you were getting into with Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
Like, it set the tone for the whole thing.
It really did. It really did.
And it had such a satisfying ending. Like that by far tops it. Which, in comparison, now A Realm Reborn and Stormblood and Heavensward feel a lot paler, but by far are not bad.
They're not bad. Yeah, they're not bad at all. Susan in chat says I like the Stormblood Primals. Stormblood Primals were great. I think they were some of the best Primals we've ever had.
We got Gilgamesh.
Yeah,
we've got Byakko, Suzaku, Seiryu, Shinryu.
I man, that all of them? There's 1, 2, 3. There's 3 in.
No, that's only 5 of them. There's a couple more.
Oh no, we're missing some. And I feel like the Susanoo
and Lakshmi.
Was
it the last 2, I think.
Yeah, they were all solid. They were all solid. Mm-hmm. They really played on the themes of the areas they were in.
Mm-hmm. Well, that whole like Four Lords series was pretty good. Like, that was a nice overarching story.
The Tanny animals were great.
Yep. The murderous one, the one that just wanted to straight up kill everyone. I think it was the Shibu in you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You bet you knew. Yeah. Murder dog.
Susan's right. Sirius jazz flute theme is so good. Mm-hmm. Oh, Tsukiyomi. Oh my God, Tsukiyomi's fight was great. That's such a good fight. Still
did that on Extreme, but yeah, that was a fun fight.
Such a good fight. Oh. All right. Well, let's.
We could keep going on about this, but
yeah. Well, so let's talk about what we're gonna play after Terraria. Now, I said last week. I got a
short answer for this.
I did say last week that Diablo is off the table. Like I said, we really want to see a lot of big changes. Until that, we just don't feel comfortable supporting that until we feel that it's good to support. Again, it doesn't take away from the people that are there doing honest work. But I don't want to give money to somebody that is not trying to get those people treated better. So I had a suggestion. You have a suggestion. I think we should talk about some of the suggestions. So go. You want to go first?
Well, I don't know if we want to go too deep into today.
No, I have one. I have one suggestion to bring to the. I mean, I'm sure we have more, but I'll bring one to
what's your suggestion then? We have a whole list of things.
Mine is Path of Exile 2, because the new game is coming out, the sequel's coming out, and it'll have updated textures, and it's probably a good time for us to jump into something that I think Path of Exile 1 very beloved. A lot of people love it, and it's free, so we don't have to put any money into it. And everything that they sell is on the cash shop is all cosmetic. Like the Grinding Gears really did, and they really do stand by their product. Like, they really do treat their community really well. So that is I think, just to give us a scratch itch situation. So for a Diablo replacement.
I was originally going to say that we don't have an answer for this yet, but when you said Path of Exile 2, I think there's another game that we need to play before we go into that one.
Is it Path of Exile 1?
It is not Path of Exile 1.
Okay.
But I can give you a hint on it.
Okay.
It requires 2 players.
Uh-huh. Does it take 2?
It does. I feel like that's something that we need.
Chili's like Magicka 2.
Okay, Chili. Here, wait, Chili. I promise we will stream all of Magicka 2 if you can convince Susan to join us again.
I will. I think it'll be easy to convince Susan to let her know that the network does work on 2. I remember we looked that up during our one play that 2 does work.
We did. But I'm going to put that in. Susan joined us for the first Magicka. I feel it would be only fitting if she was there for the second. So if Susan would like to join us for Magicka 2, we will look at a Magicka 2 stream in the future. But if she is not interested, then we will leave that.
We'll talk offline about this.
We'll talk.
Fair.
But yes, It Takes Two. I think that one would probably be a little bit nicer to jump in. We've had it requested a number of times. We've been interested in doing it. If we have the time, we can look into doing it either Thursdays or even as special streams over the weekend.
Yeah. Also, solo stream from you sometime. That on the table?
I don't know. We'll see. That one gets a little bit complicated because I'm not so sure about committing to a consistent solo stream, and most of the games that I kind of want to stream are going to take a little bit of time to do.
Yeah, it's true.
So, and the other side of it is like the games that I want to kind of stream, I also kind of want to play, and I don't know if I want to wait. If I do a 2-hour stream every week, I can only play 2 hours a week. Very difficult to kind of go through. So I'm playing around with the idea of it. I thought about a bunch of stuff. I could play Hades. I haven't played Hades in a while. It's good still.
It is good.
But it's not something that I could consistently play, and I'm not good at it.
I feel so bad for
They will
Chili.
not take as long. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Chili had people vote.
Oh, I know.
And they pretty much picked the torture run, and so Chili's like, well, it'll take as long as my white mage only run of Final Fantasy 1. Probably.
No, that will take longer.
That also true. With that, that's all I got. That's all I got for this.
I think that wraps up nicely. So we will be back next week again on Thursday for our first official game stream with Team Whiskers, streaming Terraria again at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and 2 a.m. British summertime. So make sure to go and check that out. Next week we have guests on again. Have we announced these guests yet?
No, not yet. So I think we should do that now. I almost forgot. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we can't.
Oh, we cannot? Oh, man.
No. I mean, like, we can't not say it. Like, you have to say this.
Oh, yeah. So tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern, I and myself and Chili from Moo Ground Radio, we're doing a panel for LunarCon called "So You Want to Be a Final Fantasy 14 Podcaster?" Hopefully, teaching you, giving you information about, like why you should want to go into Final Fantasy 14 podcasting, some choices for gear, software, and stuff that I've used over time, and some stories, and a Q&A. It's going to be a good time. Chili and I have years of podcasting experience, so hopefully we can impart some of that knowledge to you out there that would like to talk about your favorite game. So
yeah, as Susan posted in chat, I was about to say, for those who are not on the East Coast of the United States or Canada, this is going to be tomorrow, Saturday, July 31st at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, or 7 p.m. British summertime.
There we go. And all the dates are on lunarcon.net. So, all right.
So for anyone who is listening to this afterwards, sorry, you've already missed the live stuff. I'm not sure if it's getting recorded, but it might.
It'll be streamed on our page, so we'll have.
Okay, so you might be able to have a copy of it.
We'll have a copy of it. So, and if anything, we can post it to our YouTube page as well.
Yeah. So then next week, next Friday, August the 6th, we are back with episode 159, which we're 2 weeks away from an episode 160. It's another nice little milestone. We have special guests, the Songbirds.
Yeah.
Who recently made partner on Twitch, I believe.
Sure did.
And are very famous in the 14 community for their lovely performances across all data centers and servers.
True. Oh man, they're good.
They are delightful.
They are very good. So I'm excited. I'm excited for next week.
All
We
right.
can talk to songbirds. I'm so interested. So with that, subscribe to us on YouTube, especially because I think I'll upload the So You Want to Be a Final Fantasy 14 podcaster there if you miss it, so you get to see it. Once we get to 100, we will post pictures of the good dog Poe, and he's cute, so you want to see it. So you know. We're gonna bounce, but people live here in
Stick
chat,
around.
stick
All right.
around. You stick around. Everybody listen to this audio wise. You don't need to stick around.
You can also stick around, but it's
You
going to
can.
end in about 40 seconds. So.
That's true. So as always, till sea swallows all. Keep listening.
Maelstrom Radio is brought to you by maelstromradio.com and Blackfire Media. Produced by Flatus, Shintier, and Susan Sprinkle. Join us live Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/maelstromradio. Send email to show@maelstromradio.com, tweet us at maelstrom_radio, or join our Discord at maelstromradio.com/discord. Views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests do not reflect the views and opinions of any companies discussed on today's show.